Welcome to Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation possible. You will get to hear from CSIA system integrators and industry partners to get a better understanding of how they help their clients solve process challenges and how they've earned success in their careers. Along the way, we will touch on system integration best practices, technology, trends, and challenges. Whether you are a manufacturer, end user, supplier, or system integrator, you will enjoy the insights these industry professionals bring to this podcast. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Lisa Richter, the host of Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation and processing possible. In today's episode, we're talking industrial automation with Rick Brookshire, Director of Product Development for Epson Robots. Rick has worked in the robot industry for 35 years, managing various product development, marketing, applications engineering, product management, and technical support teams. Previously, Rick served as Director of Product Development and Engineering at Seiko Instruments. While there, his teams created the first PC-based robot controllers, integrated robot vision solutions, and the core robot development software for Epson Robots, now known as Epson RC Plus, which is used today in thousands of factories worldwide. After coming to Epson, Rick joined the Epson Global Development Management team that creates all robot-related products for Epson Robots. Rick, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Lisa.
Okay, let's start with an easy one. When you're at a cocktail party or some other event outside of work, how do you describe what you do?
That's always a tough question because I've been doing this for so long and have been involved in so many aspects of the business. But first thing I do is I'll explain to them that I'm in the robot business. We sell industrial robots used for manufacturing. I'll start looking at the things that they're wearing and talk to them about all the different things that robots can do, like building their glasses, building the hard drives they use, the mice, and that type of thing. And then I'll explain that I've been working in all different areas of robotics, be it from the sales side, marketing side, product management side, and certainly product development side. So with 35 years of experience in this, I've been really blessed because I've gotten to do it all.
Here's another easy one. Please share the history of how Epson began and how the company evolved into the automation industry.
That's a great question. So, Lisa, we started some 40-some years ago because of the watch industry. As many people know, Seiko Epson Corporation builds watches. We build them for Seiko Time. Building watches is very difficult, especially difficult to do by hand. So many years ago, we needed to find a way to automate so that we could scale the number of different watches and watch manufacturing that we did. So we found that there were no good robot manufacturers out there, or no good robots, I should say, out there for us to be able to use at the time. So we built our own, which is something that Epson does commonly for all of our products. We generally will build core technologies that then those core technologies we will apply to a specific product. And then like, for example, the 3LCD core technology for our projectors. And then we go and build the products themselves. So we have a manufacturing group of over 400 people that put together systems for internal use only. And so all of that started from us first building our robots.
Do you specialize in any industry, product, or discipline?
Epson's strong in a lot of different areas. But we play in a ton of them. So some of the strong ones, some of our strong points are things like automotive, electrical, for electronics products, that type of thing, consumer products, and medical products. Those are the areas that we tend to sell in the most. However, there's a lot of other things like industrial products. For example, industrial valves is something that's very popular now. So there's a lot of other kinds of products. I'll give you another kind of silly example. We've had people come to us with things like, can you decorate cakes? Can you put food on pizzas? All kinds of different things that come to us every day. So while those cores that I mentioned, that's kind of our core area, we're pretty open, and we do use the robots in a lot of different areas.
Kind of asking a basic question. Why do you think people or companies even automate? I mean, what are the problems they are facing that drive them to automate?
So one of the probably biggest reasons is that, companies are in business to make money. In general, they want to find a way to reduce the costs of their products. And usually automation is able to do that. We're able to build more products, build them faster, build them with higher quality, which kind of takes us into the second area. Quality is this area that a lot of people want to continuously improve on. Maybe you have 99.9% quality at the moment, but you want 100%. We're trying to get the absolute most out of our products that we possibly can. Automation allows you to get to that next level. So it really helps us on the quality side as well. Then you've got safety. It's another reason why companies sometimes automate, because some of the processes that they're doing just aren't really that well suited for humans to be doing. They're a little bit too dangerous in dangerous environments, and the robots willingly and knowingly go into those environments with no issues whatsoever. The other thing I'll mention is speed or throughput. So a lot of the factories sometimes say you're building 1 million products per month, but you need to get up to 3 million a month. Your business is exploding. Somehow you've got to get up to that, and you simply cannot add enough people in to be able to do that. So being able to automate and scale the automation is a lot of times much easier than trying to add more people. Getting faster cycle times, getting out of robots, and the robots continue every year to get better and faster. So that really helps. And then finally, there's this area of precision. Robots are made specifically, especially in our world that we play in, for super high precision. For example, we have some robots that get all the way down to 5 microns in placement precision. So ask a human to place something within, say, 20 or 25 microns. It's very difficult. So there's things that robots can do now related to precision that humans just can't do.
You're using this term microns. Can you put that in perspective? Like the human hair is X number of microns, or some sort of comparison point?
Well, I'm glad you asked it that way, because that was exactly where I was going to go. So basically the human hair is about 100 to 200 microns thick.
Wow.
Okay, for the average person out there. So when you talk about 5 microns, you can tell you're talking about a tiny fraction of a human hair. I think a lot of people would have a hard time just taking a human hair and placing it into something. So imagine splitting that up into 20 pieces and now trying to place that into something. That would be very, very difficult for, I think, all humans. That
really does help put things in perspective. Do you have any stories or vignettes that kind of illustrate this idea?
Related to just where people are getting scales, I think, and how they're using robots and so on. I'll mention this. So there is a company that's basically out in the middle of nowhere. And one of their problems is that being out in the middle of nowhere, when I say that, I can't give their exact location, you have to drive about 4 hours from any near airport to get to their location. And there's really nothing else in the city in terms of manufacturing, in terms of manpower, and just doesn't have a lot of people there. So the problem is they're building this manufacturing facility, trying to bring people in to build their products, which are basically lawn equipment type products. So imagine leaf blowers and those kinds of things that you use for working on your lawn. They can't get manpower. So they have to hire in people that are high school students to work on the weekends, to work after school and that type of thing. And so their whole problem is we don't have enough resources in the area to be able to keep up to scale as their business continues to grow. So they kind of are forced to automate and add more automation systems into their facility simply because they can't do it any other way. So in order to scale, they need more automation. And great customer, great applications that they're doing there, and they're doing all kinds of different things. That's just one of many, many examples.
This is an interesting topic because you will hear all the time about robots are taking everybody's jobs. We're all doomed. And in fact, on our previous podcast, I interviewed Jeff Bernstein, and he's president of the Association for Advancing Automation. He posited that the application of robots will result in a net increase in jobs. And he has the data to prove it. Would you agree with him, and why or why not?
So Jeff's a great guy. I have known Jeff for a long, long time, being in the robot industry together for quite some time now and so on. And he is absolutely right. I completely 100% agree with him that robots are actually finding ways to do things. We're using robots to do things that in a lot of cases or most cases, the humans don't even want to do. In fact, I don't know the data exactly that he shared with you, but some of the data that we have shows that there's between 300 and 400,000 manufacturing jobs available right now today, but people don't want to do them. There are things that are repetitive tasks. There are things that are very difficult, and if you walked away from your job every day after doing them, you'd probably have a headache because of the difficulty in doing some of those jobs. But the robots come in and are able to do those jobs with no problems whatsoever. So in many cases, these robots really aren't taking over jobs that humans are doing, but they're coming in and doing jobs that humans don't want to do. But then there are cases where humans come in and do a job where robots come in and do a job where the humans are doing them today. But in those cases, here's an opportunity now for people. A lot of factories I've gone into where when we first went in, somebody was doing an assembly process and they were masters of their domain. They really understood how that assembly process worked and all the ins and outs about it and so on. We taught them how to program the robot or how to teach points with the robot, how to set up the process, because nothing better than going to the process expert. And they were able to use the robots and now build out their application themselves. And now they have a totally new job that's much better than what they had before. More money, more exciting, more challenges, and they're much happier as a result. So my view on it is that I think robots are going in and enhancing what humans are doing and doing a lot of the things that humans don't want to do.
Well, I did it. I attended my first CSIA executive conference. And do you know what the best part about it was? It was meeting and hearing from CSIA members and learning how the association impacts real lives. I've been working with associations for my whole career, and I can honestly say I have never experienced a group of business professionals so willing to share, collaborate, and support one another. That's why I'm so excited to be able to tell you about the newest CSIA membership offer. From now until the 2020 Executive Conference in May in New Orleans, companies that join CSIA will receive an automatic 40% discount off the conference registration fee. Look, this isn't about boosting attendance. It's about making sure CSIA members can fully experience the most valuable benefit the association has to offer, the CSIA Executive Conference. Ready to learn more? Visit www.controlsys.org/CSIA combo. See you in the Big Easy. All right, so in addition to these unfilled manufacturing jobs, what are some of the other top challenges that you see facing the automation marketplace today and in the future?
One of the things that I always think about is how do we make things easier? So at least on the Epson side, and I think in the industry as a whole, we're looking at the challenge of how do we take something that used to take, for example, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months to build, and how do we build it faster? How do we put it together faster? And what I mean is when we're putting together that automation system, it's all about ease of use. How do we take it to where instead of having to have some senior or guru software engineer that puts together an automated system, how could we make it so that one of the junior guys, or one of the applications guys that understands a process could put together the systems much better? We're starting to work on, instead of programming, maybe we should be configuring robots. Okay, so we don't have to write so much code to make the robots do things, but more we just have to configure them to do the application that we want them to do. And that's starting to happen more and more in the manufacturing space. The other thing is, how do we start, using artificial intelligence? If you think about manufacturing processes, we're doing a lot of repetitive tasks. We can pull the information in from those repetitive tasks, learn from them, and make improvements on the fly. I know that at least on the Epson side, we're doing some of that with our flexible feeding product called IntelliFlex, where we're figuring out optimized positions to move the robot to speed up the cycle times. And that's all based on the previous movements that we did. Learning from what we've done on the manufacturing floor and dynamically making changes is, I think, something that we are going to continue to do more and more and get better at. And we're just starting as an industry. If we go outside of the industrial manufacturing side for a second, one of the things that we always talk about, within the industry and so on is what are other things that robots can do? So, for example, the construction area in doing things, helping to build buildings or homes, that type of thing, helping the elderly as the U.S. and as the world continues to age. How are we going to do more in robotics there? There's a lot of exoskeleton stuff that's coming out now in robotics that's amazing, that's going to help a lot of elderly people. But as I tell people all the time, I fully expect my children will have robots in their houses helping them as they get older and so on. Hoping they'll be there for me, but I definitely feel they'll be there for my children. So that's kind of exciting as well.
Well, I think there's some who would argue with you that we already do have robots in our houses. I mean, isn't that what that little Roomba is?
Yeah, well, that's very true. And so that's a starting point, I think. But there's a lot of other things that you'd probably like robots to do inside of your house. If you start thinking about, how many people love cooking every day? A lot of people love cooking, but maybe not every day. What if you came home and the robot already has a beautiful meal prepared for you? Or maybe we'll get even deeper. How many people love doing laundry or washing their dishes, cleaning up their house and all of these other things? These are things that I believe robots will be able to do in the future. Not a question of, will they be able to? It's just a question of when. So it's coming.
How has Epson grown or changed in the past year, and what do you expect for your company in the next 12 to 24 months?
We've been exploding along with a lot of the rest of the business. I've been doing this for 35 years now, and it's funny, when I first started, I would talk to my friends or talk to my parents or my parents' friends, some of the older folks, and they would always say, "Oh, you're in robotics. Oh my gosh, that's got to be a growing field, and it's got to be exciting," and so on, and I'm sure it's expanding like crazy. And, ever since then, it's continued to expand very nicely. But I think right now is where it's exploding more than it ever has. We're really reaching out and able to do applications that we could not do, 10 years or 15 years ago, which is super exciting. In the case of Epson, we've been working with system integration partners for a long, long time now, for basically since we started in the North American and Asian and European market. With all that time, we really didn't put in a formal system integrator partner program. We just been working with the integrators, helping them to be successful, making sure that customers got really good final products and so on. But we wanted to put something, and these guys that do this, the system integrators, are amazing. They're like artists and engineers all in one, and they have to come up with custom solutions all the time. In working with these guys, we kind of started deciding in the last couple of years, we probably should formalize our partnership with them, and we came up with this SI partner program that we call Automate Elite. Our Automate Elite program kind of put together a program so that we could more formalize our relationship with our system integrators. But some of the other things that I'll mention about what's going on in the next 12, 24 months and so on is taking a look at our product line. We've been the leader on the Scare robot side for almost forever, but for a very, very long time. And in building those Scare robots, we're constantly looking to build them faster, to branch out our lineup. We just introduced our T-Series lineup in the last couple of years, which is a entry-level robot now at unbelievable price of $7,500. So I want to mention that because a lot of people think that robots are too expensive. And so we're trying to expand out what all of the possibilities of applications for some of the smaller places. So when you think about, what's happening and what's been happening for us and so on, it's expansion into locations where they only have 20 or 25 employees. In the past, those folks could not afford automation, but now we've made that very affordable. We're also going to continue to extend out our work on the AI side and ease of use side. So over the next 12, 24 months, you'll continue to see more and more ease of use improvements from Epson and a lot of automated things within our software where you either go through wizards or you have things just automatically figure out what to do for you. So it's really exciting time. It's a lot of fun on the development side, and the sales guys are going to have fun out there talking to a lot of new customers.
Circling back to that SI partner program, help me understand how you decide who gets to be part of the partner program. How do you approve SIs?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot of system integrators out there, and many of the good ones started in a garage, and they had one or two guys that were engineers, really smart engineers, and they built a couple systems, made a little money, started adding a few more people to them. And some of them are outstanding engineering folks, but struggle on the business side. They end up failing because they weren't able to make good money. Others are really good on the business side, but sometimes maybe not quite as good on the engineering side. So finding that balance is very difficult. It's a very difficult business. What we do is we generally will look and see what the system integrators have done in the past. Who are some of the customers that they've been working with in the past? And if they'll share with us, we like to look at some of their systems. And I just mean from a cursory view in kind of going over some of the things they've done to make sure that our robots and their capabilities would be a really good fit. For example, there might be folks that are very focused in an area that typically isn't an area for us. For example, we don't build and sell robots for the welding world. So if we're talking to a system integrator that does 99% welding, that's probably not going to be a great fit. But if we're talking to a system integrator that has done a whole lot of work in the automotive industry for assembling ignition systems or instrument panels or things like that, they're probably going to be a very good fit. And I'm sure there's going to be some robots we have that will help them, and hopefully also some technologies that they've learned about that will help us.
225,000. That's how many page views the Industrial Automation Exchange pulled in last year. What's more, 75% of them were unique. What does that mean for you? Simple. If you are a system integrator or supplier who is not maximizing your presence on the exchange, you are missing out on this traffic and the collective authority of this digital marketing powerhouse. The good news? The exchange offers upgrades, packages, and display advertising opportunities to ensure your brand is top of mind during your customers' complicated, research-based buying journey. To learn more about packages and upgrades, visit www.csiexchange.com/packages. To learn more about advertising opportunities, visit www.csiexchange.com/display. Let's face it, it's a digital world out there, and you need to ensure your company doesn't get left behind. Let the exchange go to work for you. So I imagine there are times when maybe you have a customer that comes to you and you decide, gosh, this would be a really good fit for a system integrator. If that's the case, then how do you know? Do you pass that lead along to a certain number of system integrators, or how do you determine who gets the opportunity to bid on those jobs?
So a lot of times we get those all the time. We get leads. That's one of the things we focus on, is generating leads and helping the system integrators in bringing leads to them. That is a part of our Automate Elite program, is generating leads with them and generating leads on our own, and then bringing those to the system integrators. And of course, all of them would love to have all the leads, but that's not fair to the system integrators. It's definitely not fair to the customers. So what we look for is we talk to the end customers. We find out what they're really looking for. Sometimes it's very important that that customer works with a system integrator that has tremendous experience exactly in their industry. For example, in the medical industry, there are a lot of medical standards that you have to meet. Making sure that that system integrator has experience in meeting some of those medical requirements and metal standards is very important, because if they had always just done, say, automotive work, they might not be so familiar with the medical side, and they might not be able to do quite as good a job. The other thing that sometimes the customers will ask for, the end users, is someone who's more local. So we'll look at that as well and see, okay, let's make sure that we find a system integrator that not only meets their needs on the engineering side, but that also is close by. We have others that will say, I want one of the big companies, because we're going to have a lot of different projects, and I would like to be able to give these projects to the same company. I don't want to have to go to 3 or 4 different integrators. And so then we have to make sure that we're working with one of the larger integrators that's able to handle the scale, that's able to handle all of these projects that might be coming up. So there's a lot of factors that come into play related to all of that, and those are just some of them.
So I'm sure this sort of consultative approach you're talking about is part of why your customers return to you project after project. What are some of the other reasons?
We take as you put it, a consultative approach where we generally will work with customers and show them how Epson can help them, or how automation more specifically can help them for their particular applications. But some of the things of why people keep coming back to us is, number one, reliability. That's probably the most important thing. We have robots that have been out there for 15, 20 years, still running, still building product, and quite frankly, we sometimes go to those customers and go, you could get this new one that's faster, much faster than the robot you have from 20 years ago. And they'll say, yes, we know, but this one's still working fine and we love it and it's making us product and we'd like to just keep going with this. So that reliability is a huge factor. People want to know and trust that the robot vendor that they're working with is going to have products that will just continue to last, even after you abuse them a little bit. I'll tell you kind of a little short story. Many times I'll go to customers and talk to them about their applications. And one of the customers we went to, where we were talking to him about our robots and we're talking about some of the other automation they had in there. And I said, well, how is everything working? He said, well, the robots are working really great. This stuff over here, every so often we have some issues and so on. I said, well, and then they said, but we really never have to do anything with the Epson robots at all. We've had them here for 5 years now. We really haven't had to touch them. And I said, you mean you haven't done any maintenance? And they kind of then got a little sheepish and went, no. He said, well, this is what you're supposed to do. And they said, yeah, maybe we should get onto that. But no, we haven't done that. And they just keep running, and we really don't have to touch them, change them, or do anything to them. And so we just kind of leave them be. And I started laughing. I said, well, maybe we need to get on that maintenance thing. And they smiled and said, yeah, okay, you're right. We probably should do that. But not that we suggest people to not do maintenance over 5 years, but that's one of those things from a reliability perspective of, partly why the robots are so reliable is because the way we build them. And also, we use a ton of robots internally. So we have to make sure that the robots are working great for our products as well. We, Epson, are probably our biggest customer. We use them for making, printers, projector parts, components of the inkjet, cartridges, all kinds of different electronic products and so on internally. So those are really demanding customers of ours. Another area is ease of use. So why do they keep coming back to us? Well, we find a lot of times that the term ease of use gets overused in the industry. If robot vendor, or I'll just say even automation vendor A, B, C, and D all go into a customer to talk to them, certainly one of the things they're going to say to them is, and ours is super easy to use. Well, how can a customer or an end user figure out which one is truly the easiest to use? Well, one of the things that we do is we go in and do a kind of lunch and learn where we'll show them, sit them in the seat and show them this is how easy it is. And hey, let's get Bob to sit in the seat and we'll show him how to drive. In about 20 minutes, he's making the robot do all kinds of things that he never dreamed of. And Bob's boss is going, wow, I never knew Bob could do this. So it's a lot of fun to do that kind of thing. But the other thing that we find is that customers that have used some other robots and so on, and then they come and get ours, they come back to us later and will say things like, we're really appreciative you guys have come on board. We were able to get this system together so much faster than what we had expected from our previous experience. So it saves them a ton of time from a development perspective so they can get on to the next project that they have. Got that same kind of response from a lot of system integrators as well. And then finally, it's kind of last but not least, is our support team. So our sales and our support teams are extremely responsive. And when people pick up the phone and they talk to one of our technical support guys, they talk to people that not only understand the products, but they've used the products. They understand the products inside and out. They are able to get right to the meat of the people's problems immediately and explain, some of the why behind the scenes of why this problem may have occurred to someone to help them in the future to not run into it again. This is a great value to the customers. They really appreciate that. Sometimes we'll send them sample code and so on to help them through that. So our support teams are really huge from that perspective.
So switching topics a little bit, Epson is a brand new member of CSIA. So I'm curious, what made you decide to join?
Well, number one, and I may have mentioned, if I didn't, one of the things that I love about my job and why we have so many people that have been here for so long is because we're continuously learning. And one of the things in terms of CSIA was we saw it as another avenue to learn. We saw it another place where we could learn more about what people need in automation, what the distributors are asking for, what would make people's lives easier, and so on. And so that learning is very critical to be able to continue to build the right products, to do the right things in the industry. Learning from not just the customers, but also from distributors and other folks in the automation industry. So that was one of the areas that we wanted to get out of CSIA. And then also being able to just work with people that are like-minded. You know, the folks that are just like us, that are very passionate about the automation industry and so on. We felt that we would be able to meet more people who are like that and be able to interact with them. And quite frankly, that's part of what makes our job fun.
What makes you optimistic about the future of the automation industry?
I think the automation industry, as I mentioned earlier, right now, it's growing faster now than it ever has. We continue to build new products that people do amazing things with that we never dreamed that application was going to be done. So you asked me earlier about some of the different kinds of applications we do or the different industries we participate in. So one of the cool things is we just keep expanding out into more and more applications and more things that automation can do. Being able to go out and help those companies that only have 20 people instead of generally having to work with companies that, you know, had hundreds of people or thousands of people like in the past. The automotive industry was kind of the place where when I first started, that was the place where everybody was selling the bulk of their robots to and so on. And they had great projects there, all kinds of neat projects and so on. But now we've been able to, with bringing the cost of robots down, just to give you an idea, way back when, even a scare robot was $40,000 or $50,000. And now we have those robots down to the range of $7,500. So you can see how that allows us to start getting into all of these other applications that we couldn't do in the past. The other thing is the robots are going to continue to get faster. They're going to get more precise. I already talked about the cost, and they're going to get smarter. The robots are going to continue to be smarter and smarter so that the human, if you will, or the developers will be able to maybe someday ask the robot to do things in the same way that we ask humans to. Hey, I need you to take those bottles and put them in that box. Hey, those sunglasses you have, I need you to put screws on those so we can attach these things. And by the way, I need them by the end of the day. I mean, imagine being able to talk to robots in that way. I know that's very futuristic, but we will get there at some point in time, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
If you could go back get into the Wayback Machine and talk to your younger self, what advice would you give him?
That's the hardest question all day. I would learn more earlier. So I think I would have spent more time trying to learn things that I didn't know, way back when. Some things that I know now, but I still don't feel that I know at the level that I'd like to. So, for example, I focused in on software engineering and marketing, which was great, but I'm dealing in a world that's a lot of mechanical engineering, a lot of electrical engineering, and I picked up a lot of that along the way. But man, it would have been nice to do a little more formal education in the area of mechanical engineering. I wish I had, if I had time, I would have gone back to school and maybe worked on mechanical engineering a little more. The other thing is I had the opportunity to go to an artificial intelligence conference 35 years ago when I first got into the robot industry. And then I kind of walked away from that for quite some time. And I wish I had stayed in touch with that a little closer because not that I could do everything, but maybe we could have had more impact on artificial intelligence with Epson and so on a little bit faster. And then probably the other thing that I would give advice to them is learn to listen more. I think I listen a lot, but like many people, I think I talk more than I listen. So I probably need to listen a little more, and that would allow us me to learn more and also allow me to help more people with more things.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Talking Industrial Automation. If you're interested in learning more about Epson Robots or Rick Brookshire, you can find them on the Industrial Automation Exchange at www.csiaexchange.com. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Rick, for joining me today.
Thank you.
If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also help others find us by leaving a 5-star review and sharing your favorite episodes with colleagues. Thanks for listening to the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. Thanks also to bensound.com and Wistia for the music bumpers. Until next time.